So, Anya, you have embodied in two different movies, The Witch and now Split, the concept of the final girl, the last survivor, you know. Do you think there's something in common between those two final girls, or are they completely different?
I mean, they're different people, so they're pretty different. But I think another journalist actually just had a really interesting point where he said it's interesting because, you know, Thomasin is so pure and everyone's telling her that she's evil. Whilst in this one, you know, everyone's kind of telling Casey that she's evil, but she's actually just incredibly pure. So they share that. Knight says that Casey, you know, kind of embodies defiant hope for him. And I think Thomasin gets to that place, but Thomasin's so tired, even from the beginning of the movie, you know, everything's just telling her to not be who she is. And I think that's, you know, there's a similarity in Casey that she's just been trying her entire life to be, you know, completely unnoticeable. She's been trying to make herself as, you know, as invisible as possible because of, you know, her abuse. I think both of them kind of get to a purer place of, you know, their essence. They get to a truer place of essence along their journeys, but they get there a little bit differently.
Yeah, of course. And from that point of view, do you think there some sort of connection between her and Kevin in being both damaged?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, they've both been through trauma, and I think everyone in the world's been through some kind of trauma, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be as intense as these two characters, but it's really interesting because both of them are so complex. I really admire Knight for making this film because no character is one thing. No character is one-dimensional. We're all really multifaceted, and so James is both a victim and a villain. Casey is both, you know, a victim and a manipulator. They're both playing each other on so many different levels. But I really love the one of the final scenes when we're both just facing each other off. There's a real sense of, I see you, in a way. These are two characters that no one really understands, and there's just kind of a mutual understanding between the two of them, and that was really emotionally gratifying.
Yeah, and there's this sentence which is the core of the movie, the broken are the more evolved. Yeah, that's kind of the core, you know, the main theme of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's a really, I mean, it sounds a little bit controversial because we're obviously not going out and being like, everyone should get really fucked up. No, but it's you know, there's a really beautiful message that I think Knight's trying to transmute to the world, which is that your past or, you know, your experiences that are maybe negative don't define you in a negative way. It can actually make you stronger, and you can rise up like a phoenix from the ashes, you know, and burn even more brightly, and you should embrace that and allow it to build your character. It's kind of like a muscle, you know, you tear a muscle, it grows back differently, but it grows back stronger.
Sure. And this is such a deep performance from you because you had to react differently to every different personality of James's character. So was it challenging? How did you work on that?
It's so... Whenever people try to get me to intellectualize acting, I find it super hard because I literally just do it. It's something that feels good and I really enjoy doing, and I find it very easy to suspend my belief in something and, you know, let my imagination run wild. It's a real testament to James's performance, how, you know, he's amazing. And he has such control over every muscle in his face, and so I could really tell who I was talking to just by him flicking an eyebrow or, you know, pursing his lips in a different way, and I'd be like, oh, that's Patricia, cool. But we have a very similar way of working. We're both very playful, and we were playing from scene to scene and take to take, and each time we kind of came at it with a different energy, and it was just a pleasure. I just kind of let Casey take over, and I just enjoyed it from an outside perspective.
And have you met the lovely little girl who plays?
Yes, Izzy. So we shot that before we shot the actual movie, and it was really important for me to be there. I sort of went up to Knight and I was like, Knight, can I come? And he was like, do you want to come and meet the little girl? And I was like, yes, I do. Izzy's so awesome, but you know, it's very, having worked with kids on The Witch and loving children, obviously, it's such dark material that you just want to be there to make sure, you know, they obviously can't know what's going on, and you just want to be there as kind of emotional support. But it was also very interesting because I wanted to see my memories, you know, because I was watching the takes and because I was watching, you know, all of the scenes and really being there, I could have a very clear image in my head. So when I was actually in the room, I could actually think of the genuine image rather than something fabricated in my mind.
And how was it to work with the director? Were you a fan of his movies?
Yes, I was, but I think it's, I had a moment, you know, he called me up and offered me the role on the phone, and was very, very overwhelmed. But I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm working with M.Night Shyamalan. And then you just got to leave that at the door, because otherwise I can't do my job. I'm not very good when I'm overwhelmed or starstruck. And so I had to kind of forget who I was talking to and just focus on my director. And yeah, and now we're just really good friends. I'm really, really lucky to count him as a mentor and a really good bud.
If we think about Casey, we see her, especially at the beginning of the movie, as an outcast, basically. Was it something that you could relate to? Have you ever felt like that?
Oh yeah, but I mean, everyone's felt that way. I had it bad until I found movies. You know, I'm from a lot of different places. I never felt like I had a home in any of, I have a home in all of them, but belonging everywhere, I belong nowhere. I never fit in with kids my own age. I always felt like I was separated by, you know, my peers by a sheet of glass. And then I found films, and it changed my life, and I found my home, and I found my family, and I'm so lucky to experience that. But I really love telling, you know, I don't seek outcast stories, but I really love telling that story, just because I think when you're going through that, you can feel so lonely and you can feel so isolated and alone. And when you see somebody else having that experience, it makes you feel a little bit less lonely. So I hope people connect to that.
Okay. Thank you, Anya.
Thank you.